The Alamo, a name etched deep into the tapestry of American legend, celebrated as a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and freedom. But what if the version of events you've always believed is completely wrong? Beneath the weathered tale of heroic last stands lies a web of hidden truths, secret negotiations, disastrous blunders, and mysteries so strange they were buried for generations. Why did settlers so boldly violate Mexico's strictest laws with little punishment? How could a single cannon ignite an all-out revolt? And why did the Alamo's defenders, hopelessly outnumbered and led by a commander too sick to fight, choose to stand and die when surrender might have saved them? Tonight, we'll uncover 8 myths about the Alamo that simply don't add up, from sacred walls that became deadly traps to drunken arguments that may have doomed the garrison. This is the lesser-known version of the battle that changed history. Prepare yourself. By the end of this story, you may question everything you thought you knew. Before we dive in, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to help grow our community. When settlers from the American South streamed into Texas, they brought with them grand ambitions of seizing land for cotton production. At the time, Mexico's cotton economy was thriving, and many saw a chance to cash in on that success. The Mexican government required 2 things for settlers to legally claim land. They had to convert to Catholicism and formally become Mexican citizens. But many newcomers ignored these conditions, fueling early friction with local residents. Making matters worse, most of these settlers brought enslaved workers, even though Mexico had abolished slavery in 1829. As colonists continued breaking the law by keeping enslaved laborers and settling outside permitted zones, Mexico itself was undergoing political turmoil. Originally organized as a federal republic like the United States, Mexico's money problems and internal instability pushed conservative leaders to concentrate power. This central government imposed tougher tariffs, reinforced the ban on slavery, and restricted immigration. For the settlers on the fringes of Texas, many of them undocumented and reliant on slave labor, these policies were seen as oppressive. Rebellions broke out while Mexican officials placed blame on illegal immigrants from the U.S. The Texas Revolution's first shots were fired in October 1835 at the Battle of Gonzales, though tensions had already been growing in settlements like Green DeWitt's colony. DeWitt had earlier persuaded Mexican officials to give his colony a 6-pound cannon for defense against native raids. When Mexican authorities discovered some of DeWitt's men had joined meetings viewed as rebellious, Colonel Domingo de Ugartechea was ordered to take the cannon back. Though he likely expected pushback, Ugartechea probably did not anticipate this retrieval would trigger open fighting between colonists and Mexican troops, a clash that quickly spiraled into a full-blown revolution. True to their rebellious spirit, the Texans refused to give up the cannon, defiantly raising a flag over it, reading, "Come and take it." Within a few days, their numbers grew to over 160 men. Launching a surprise attack, they overran the Mexican detachment. This skirmish, remembered as the Battle of Gonzales, marked the official beginning of the Texas Revolution. Although remembered today as a fortress, the Alamo had originally been built as a mission, a religious center for priests, and a base of operations. After frequent raids by native groups, the Mexican army converted the mission into a temporary garrison. But its design had never been intended for long artillery sieges. The fort lacked proper rifle slits, and defenders had to fire from raised platforms, leaving their upper bodies exposed, a deadly disadvantage. After Gonzales, most settlers who helped drive out Mexican troops returned home. Short on food and unprepared for a drawn-out fight, this left fewer than 200 Texian defenders, far too few to hold the Alamo effectively. In December 1835, Sam Houston, commander of the Texian Army, appointed James Neal to take command of the Alamo. Neal accepted, but later left to care for his sick family, leaving the garrison under Lieutenant Colonel William B. Travis, the highest-ranking officer remaining. Travis's promotion angered Colonel James Bowie, the famed knife fighter. Many soldiers preferred Bowie's reputation for ferocity and elected him their leader. Although this briefly calmed tensions, Bowie's bouts of drunkenness disrupted camp discipline, and eventually he agreed to share command with Travis. Meanwhile, Mexican President Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna was enraged that the rebellion had not yet been crushed. To him, the settlers were trespassers who disrespected Mexican law and were now trying to steal Mexican land. He demanded their surrender, warning that refusal meant total massacre. The Texans rejected Santa Anna's terms, prompting him to brand them as traitors and promise no mercy. He even made his position clear to U.S. President Andrew Jackson, but the warning was never widely shared, and American volunteers were not informed that Mexico planned to execute captured rebels. Inside the Alamo, its commanders knew how dire their situation was. Neal begged Houston for reinforcements, but Houston, believing the fort could not be saved, refused, and instead ordered Colonel Bowie to dismantle its defenses and destroy the cannons. Bowie complied in part, but when he arrived and found no animals to move the heavy artillery, he changed his mind. Convinced the Alamo was strategically vital, he requested reinforcements from the Provisional Texian government, but political infighting meant no help came. Even if it had, the reinforcements might not have changed the outcome. Bowie and Travis underestimated Santa Anna's speed, and by February 23, 1836, the siege was underway. Warnings sent nearby caused civilians to flee en masse. Travis stationed a lookout in the bell tower of San Fernando Church. Within hours, scouts spotted Santa Anna's advance force just beyond San Antonio. The defenders, only 188 men, many inexperienced, now faced roughly 1,500 Mexican troops. When Santa Anna entered San Antonio, he raised a red flag to signal no quarter would be given. The Texans refused to withdraw. Travis fired a cannon in reply, infuriating Bowie, who tried to negotiate, but Mexican officers demanded unconditional surrender. With diplomacy dead, Bowie and Travis joined forces, firing another cannon together as a final rejection of Santa Anna's terms. Unfortunately, Bowie's leadership was short-lived. He fell gravely ill on the second day and was bedridden for the remainder of the siege. Though occasionally displayed to inspire the men, historians argue this may have crushed morale, as seeing their legendary fighter helpless was disheartening for the mostly untrained garrison. With Bowie incapacitated, Travis assumed sole command. Both he and all 188 defenders perished when the Mexicans finally stormed the fort on March 6, 1836, ending the 13-day siege. Only women and children were spared. Historians estimate that despite their small numbers, the defenders killed or wounded roughly 600 Mexican soldiers. More importantly, their sacrifice ignited a firestorm of anger across Texas, transforming a crushing defeat into a powerful symbol that fueled the fight for independence. The Alamo was lost. The 188 men were gone. But the revolution they inspired surged forward. Those 13 days still leave haunting questions. Why did Bowie and Travis, rivals to the end, choose to fire that last cannon together? What really killed James Bowie? Disease or something more sinister? And why did Santa Anna's army, so superior in strength, pay such a terrible price to win? The defenders became immortalized as heroes, but heroism can mask the truth. What if the real story is one of human weakness, misjudgments, betrayal, and fatal pride? The Alamo is remembered as a symbol of resistance, but perhaps it also stands as a warning about the consequences of defiance. Even now, we are left wondering how many of its strangest secrets still lie in plain sight. Share your thoughts below. What about the Alamo still puzzles you?